right. Welcome everyone. We have another edition of the IOTA Talk today. We have a very exciting week behind us, right? We had some pretty interesting releases and announcements. What I want to do today is talk a little bit about the insights, right? Why are these announcements so important, and also in which direction we are heading with them? Because I think it's very important that all of you really understand how IOTA is evolving, right? Because we have Chrysalis, we are fully upgrading the mainnet, the wallet, the node software, the libraries. But our path goes further than that. Our journey goes further than that. And we are not just here to make IOTA as a core protocol really great, and we're not just here to enable micropayments, feeless micropayments, and also not just to secure data and make this data shareable and monetizable, but we are here to really build the machine economy. And the machine economy has so many different components that we need to think about in order to fully realize it. Now, before I wanna jump into the topics, I think we should take a step back and actually discuss the current market, right? Let me just share my screen here real quick. So first of all, happy 1 trillion market cap Bitcoin. I think that's quite the achievement. Looking back, with 2020 hindsight, everybody thought, oh, this was inevitable. But I would dare to say that all the people that have been in this entire crypto space since the very early days, nobody would have expected this kind of explosive growth or this kind of attention for the projects, for Bitcoin, for altcoins, for IOTA, and so on, right? And that just shows you that there's some true fundamental value in what we are doing and what we are building. So getting to 1 trillion market cap for Bitcoin is very exciting. It's an exciting achievement. And we have to ask ourselves this question, like, what's next? Now, being the professional trader that I am, it can either go up or it can either go down. That's sort of a joke, but I firmly believe, and since I don't hold any Bitcoin, I think I can make this price prediction. I firmly believe that we're going to hit 100K this year. And the reason for that is multiple reasons, right? I think the adoption of crypto assets, and in particular Bitcoin, for the institutional world is really just getting started. We heard about some other banks who are really seriously considering offering at least custody for crypto assets. Some other banks are taking positions in crypto assets, and I'm pretty sure that every large institutional fund out there is taking a serious look at Bitcoin at least, and also at altcoins, simply because they have a much different dynamic than traditional assets, right? Like gold. And they're also, if you think about it in relative terms, it's a very novel market. It's only roughly 10, 12 years ago old. So with that, there's a lot of development still ahead of us. And the way that I see this evolving, right? Like, what happens if Bitcoin continues to rise? Like, I always say that if Bitcoin goes up, it's great for everybody, because Bitcoin is sort of this entry and this gateway into the entire market. Obviously, the best case would be that there's a leveled playing field where everybody has the same kind of access or where every capital has the same kind of access to those crypto assets. But that's simply not the truth, right? Bitcoin is much well established than other crypto assets. They have much better rails in that regard, right? Also regulated them and financial products that make it much easier to be exposed to Bitcoin and to invest into it. And that's great, right? We need to have a sort of entry into the entire market, and that's simply Bitcoin right now. And the way that I see this evolving is that really the entire market 2021 is absolutely exciting, right? And people always say that, or like some people always say that what's driving the growth of Bitcoin is institutional money, and what's driving the growth of altcoins is retail. And I think in 2021, that's even more true than it was a couple of years ago. And if we look at the current market, right, the total market cap of all crypto assets right now is 1.6 trillion. And relative to gold and other traditional assets, it's a small comparison, right? But if you think about the sudden rise in all of the crypto assets, we have to kind of ask ourselves, what is different? Because every time you have these cycles, right, ups and downs, people start to basically come up with these arguments on why this time it's different. And if we think about why it's different this time, I would say the fundamentals are very different. There's real utility, and the real utility is DeFi, is data-based business models, right? We are really seeing that being adopted, and there's real demand for alternative investments, because many funds are being approached by banks, and they're being told, like, you have to allocate, right? Else you're going to have a negative interest rate, and who wants to pay negative interest rate? And that's why our famous friend Elon Musk also said that Bitcoin simply sucks less than cash. And is that enough of a value proposition? I guess it is in 2021, right? And we are really just getting started in terms of the adoption of these like blockchain DLT-based applications, because there's an entire world out there that is just waiting to also be exposed to these new financial products. And I think that's really why 2021 and 2022 will be very exciting years in terms of adoption. Last year, we had PayPal, who really started to integrate crypto assets into their platform. And I'm very certain that other banks will follow this year. For us, we also had a pretty exciting rally. So we are at 150 now, $1.50. So a total of 4.1 billion market cap. We rarely like to talk about the price because we really believe in fundamentals, and we always used to joke that that the worst thing that could happen to crypto is that a bunch of nerds got rich, right? And so for us, it was always about this value creation, making sure that IOTA and everything that we're building has real world impact in the world and is actually being adopted. And I think especially looking at the projects that are ahead of us, I'm like, our personal objective is obviously to be one of the top projects. Now, obviously, you can make claims, you can make promises. At the end of the day, the only thing that counts is delivery. And over the past few months, I think we've really shown to the market that IOTA in 2021 is very, very different from IOTA in 2017. We have nearly 130 people in the foundation today. We have a well-organized structure within the foundation, and we have really one of the best teams in this entire space that really fundamentally understands crypto and distributed ledgers, is the leading team when it comes to DAX. And that is simply the perfect combination to really make sure that we're sort of building not just a protocol, but really an entire ecosystem that is going to be adopted. And so I'm very excited on how this evolution will look like. Obviously, as I mentioned, it's all about delivery, and the most important delivery that is coming up is Chrysalis. And I think that is also sort of a statement to this new IOTA and to the way that we have evolved as a project. Now, quickly to talk about the progress on Chrysalis. Just today, we had another upgrade on the testnet. And for those of you that are following it, we've basically removed all of the WATS modules and have really fully prepared it. I think this will probably be one of the last upgrades that needs to be done, but nonetheless, we are really have a clear path ahead of us for getting Chrysalis onto the mainnet. The objective is obviously to get it onto the mainnet in March. And what you can see here, and especially for all of the developers in our ecosystem, I can highly encourage you to go to our new docs page, where we really provided some excellent guides on getting started with IOTA. And IOTA with Chrysalis, obviously. One interesting change that I haven't, wait, I should actually do full screen. One interesting change that we haven't really discussed yet is also the new addresses in IOTA. All right, so all of the addresses will have an IOTA prefix. I think that's also really cool. But these exact details we'll explain to everybody in the upcoming simplified series that we are preparing, where we're going to explain to you what UTXO is, what the switch from UTXO actually means, and what it enables, including digital assets, as you've seen. Also, obviously, how the transition looks like. And here's just some more guides that I can encourage all of you to look at. And we've started reaching out to exchanges so that they are going to work on the migration, and some, like many of them, have already committed themselves to implementing the changes, so that they are able to accept deposits and withdrawals. And in addition to that, there's obviously the token migration. For those of you that really want to go into the details, I can highly recommend you to go to our protocol RFC page. What an RFC is basically a request for comment. So it's where we specify the changes that are being made to the protocol, get it approved, or get it through a review process, and then get them officially adopted into the protocol. So it's like this new approach. You can think about it similarly to Ethereum improvement proposals. I think this will be a very exciting way for the community and the ecosystem in the future to also give insights or give their input into how they would like to upgrade the protocol and which kind of changes they would like to see. So take a look at that if you want to go into the details. And with that, let's quickly discuss the timeline, because I think this is an important thing to mention, right? Now, what we are building or what we are launching is a completely rebuilt IOTA. Everything has been changed. The cryptography has been changed. The address format has been changed. We no longer use ternary but binary, right? The wallet has a different name, has a different architecture. Everything is different, right? That also means that we need to have a sort of migration. And what that means is right now, all of your tokens are on an WATS address, right? So Winternit's one-time signatures. And you, in order to be a part of this new Chrysalis network, you need to be able to transition your tokens from WATS to the new address format. And this is exactly what this post here is about, which details how this transition is going to look like. Because fundamentally, there will be two networks at the same time: the current legacy network, WATS, and then the new Chrysalis network. So fundamentally, it's sort of like a fork, right? Where we are forking the network in order to fully upgrade it. And the way that the transition will work is that in your Firefly wallet, you will basically sign a transaction and you will burn the tokens in the legacy network in order to generate them on the new Chrysalis network. And all of that is being taken care of by the Firefly wallet. If you don't use Firefly, there's also some tools that you can utilize to simply do this transition. But really, it's not such a difficult process, because it's basically running fully automatically, right? And the timeline is that roughly 7 days before the official launch of the Chrysalis network, let me just zoom in. 7 days before the official launch of the Chrysalis network, we'll launch this burn address. So then people can already start transitioning to the new network. Obviously, that is in preparation for the initial snapshot. Snapshot meaning that it's initial balances and initial token distribution. And with that snapshot, we'll then launch the Chrysalis network. And after the Chrysalis network has been launched, people can just fluidly and migrate to the new network. One thing to keep in mind is that exchanges will be transitioned to the new network. So if you have your tokens on an exchange, you should be fine, because all of them will be transitioned. And if you don't transition your token, like after the network after the Chrysalis network has been launched, In the old legacy network, the only thing that you can then do is really transition to the new network, to the Chrysalis network, right? And only then you can also start to freely trade them, or like send them around, and then also to send them to exchanges or whatever you feel like, right? But I think overall, this is a very simple setup to do the migration. And as I mentioned, it's 7 days before the official launch, and after the launch of Chrysalis, you can then always transition over. You can think about it similarly to what Ethereum did. So Ethereum also has the current Ethereum network, and they have Ethereum 2.0. Now, for them, it was very important to launch Ethereum 2.0 with an initial token supply in order to basically test, but also launch staking. And so they launched Ethereum 2.0, telling people, hey, you can transition over to this new network. They kind of did it in opposite terms, because the Ethereum 2.0 network is not live yet, right? So you only transition your tokens to Ethereum 2.0 in order to do staking and to become a validator, basically, which is promised that in a couple of months or years, whatever their timeline is, you will then be fully transitioned to the Ethereum 2.0 network. With us, it's different, right? When we launch Chrysalis, the old network, you will only be able to transition to the new one. And in the new one, you will be able to experience the new IOTA, right? If you guys have any questions about this, please reach out to us on Reddit or on Discord, just to really make sure that all of your questions have been answered. As I mentioned, we the Firefly software and also the Node software is really taking care of all of the heavy lifting. So this should be as simple as clicking a button and generating a seed. Also for Ledger Nano users, Firefly is taking care of all of that. So I think all of the cases should be taken care of. And if you have your tokens on an exchange, you should be fine, right? Because they will be transitioning over to the new network. Yeah. So that's about Chrysalis. Let's discuss tokenization, right? As this blog post here mentions, we are marching towards Chrysalis, and our journey does not end there. I would rather say it's just like this new dawn, right? It's this new beginning for the protocol to really unleash the full potential of the Tangle, and to make sure that we focus fundamentally on getting the Tangle right, so that it's scalable, that it's feeless, that it's decentralized. And in addition to that, we are already now starting to focus on these building blocks on top. And one very crucial building block that we've been thinking about for quite some time is this concept of colored coins, or some call it tokenization, and others call it digital assets. Colored coins have been in this space since, I think, like 2012, 2013, like they've been around for a long time. And the simplest explanation that I can give you is you have a unit of account, right? Like, for example, one IOTA token, and you color this IOTA token in order to represent a certain asset or to represent a certain name, right? So this colored coin then in its data, right? Every token in IOTA has certain data attached to it, and this data can then be verified by others. So if I transfer this one IOTA token to a third party, like another human being, right, or another machine, they will then be able to receive the token and verify this data that's associated with it, and then they will be able to realize, oh, this is a colored coin of this type, and it has this name. It's a very simple concept, being able to color tokens in a network or to tokenize assets, but it's very powerful, because what you can basically do with that is that you're not just limited to the native asset in a distributed ledger, but you can create a variety of different assets. And with that, you really start to bring forth this concept of tokenization. And what tokenization is that you have either physical or digital assets that you represent in a distributed ledger. And with that, you expose it to all of these amazing benefits. The most obvious example is real estate tokenization. So let's think, for example, there's a hotel and we want to give this hotel, like the ownership of the hotel is tokenized so that there's assets, digital assets that represent the ownership in the hotel. Let's say there's 1,000 tokens. And now what I can do with these 1,000 tokens is that I can divide them up, right? I have 1,000 tokens, or I can give them to 1,000 people. Now these 1,000 people have this right to the hotel, right? And to the ownership of the hotel. And the amazing part of doing all of this on a distributed ledger is, first of all, the fungibility, and also being able to divide up these assets very, like you can really divide it up into much smaller units than you would be able to in a traditional way. Everything is digital and incredibly secure. And I'll talk about the security aspect soon. And also very amazing is that you're able to trade these assets, because what we have today is we have very illiquid assets like real estate, for example, that you want to make liquid so that there's also a market for them. And everybody in crypto loves markets, right? So tokenization is really this beautiful concept. But it's not just about representing real estate or physical assets. It's also about representing digital assets. Like think about the data stream. You can also tokenize a data stream and make it investable or tradable. Or you can tokenize digital art, like non-fungible tokens. The concept behind non-fungible tokens is basically just a digital collectible, right? Think about the Pokemon card. And a Pokemon card that is represented digitally, and there's only one representation of it, or very few representations of it, but you can verify, right? And as such, with these non-fungible tokens, you can do amazing things, like, for example, doing collector cards or launching crypto kitties and stuff like that. And what we have started to do with digital assets since last year, we basically implemented it into the Go Shimmer network, because in order to do digital assets, we need to switch from an account-based model towards UTXO, so unspent transaction output, so that we can attach this data to a token. And what we've launched now is this digital assets framework. So we started with this specification, and I can highly encourage all of you, especially those who are more technical, but also it's pretty good in terms of understanding what the use cases are for tokenization. I can recommend all of you to really take a look at this, and also to provide your feedback, because we definitely need your input on the specification. And here you can just simply see how the data is being attached to it, how these tokens are colored then, and how they can then be sent around. I don't want to go too much into the details. I think all of you can watch the video yourself. It's just important to understand kind of the direction that we're taking, right? Because when we started IOTA, we never really believed in this vision of tokenization, and especially because of this insane ICO craze. And I think 2017, 2018 was all about launching a new token for whatever you could think about. But I think now in 2021, we have a much more rational approach to tokenization. And I can tell you, like, we've gotten a lot of interest from large companies that actually want to tokenize their assets, whether it's real estate, whether it's physical assets like metals, or even like mobility fleets. We've really gotten a lot of interest, and IOTA is the perfect protocol to do these digital assets and this tokenization. And the reason for that are quite obvious, right? The IOTA token has no transaction fees associated with it. So if you tokenize an asset on IOTA, it has this exact same properties as the IOTA token. That means we get this native security of the token, and we also get no transaction fees. And it has the same level of scalability as the IOTA token. And with that, you can really build up this trust and make sure that even if you have an asset that has multi-million-dollar worth, such as real estate, right, it can be represented by one IOTA token, because this one IOTA token cannot be double spent, it cannot be attacked, it's as secure as the entire IOTA ledger. And that's really why tokenization on IOTA is really exciting. Now there's obviously these real-world adoption use cases. One very exciting use case is this one. And just to take a step back here, right? 2021 for us is about building bridges. And for the definition for bridges for us is, for one, that we have a different approach towards other DLTs, that we also see ourselves as a sort of tool or as a sort of protocol that can be utilized and leveraged by other protocols, even if they're, for example, competing with us in the same industry. Because IOTA is really evolving into this machine economy. And we want to make it possible for other crypto assets to be represented on the IOTA ledger, so that they can also be traded and exchanged, and so that they can also benefit from the benefits of the IOTA tangle. And so moving forward, one of our key focuses will be to bridge the IOTA token to other distributed ledgers, but to also bridge other tokens to the IOTA ledger. And that also has to do with our strategy for smart contracts. And I'll talk about that also very soon. But by bridging these assets, they can really be represented on IOTA, and then also get access to whatever we're building with oracles, with smart contracts, with cross-chain Uniswaps, right, DEXs and all of that. We're really marching towards this future where we are opening up entire new ecosystems. And I think that's really exciting for us, and also very exciting for other protocols. And we're doing some really incredible work with TU Vienna and Pantos on these cross-chain transfers, especially atomic swaps, so that they are trustless. And I think over the coming weeks, we'll have some more exciting progress to share on how these cross-chain swaps will actually look like. But just keep in mind that this is key to our strategy moving forward, and obviously Ethereum, Cardano, Bitcoin, they're all friends in that regard, and we really see ourselves as this bridge towards other crypto communities as well. Now, one last point that I want to make on tokenization is smart contracts. We've been working on smart contracts quite extensively over the last few months, because we understand that we understood last year that we have a really amazing concept. With it, a concept that's drastically different from other DLTs. It's sort of it takes a similar approach to what Polkadot has built. And with that, we really think that we solve some fundamental problems in this market. Now, in order to do smart contracts on IOTA, we need to have tokenized assets. We need to have colored coins, because people always said, hey, you can't do smart contracts on a DAG. And that's not true, right? Because what we're building is blockchains on top of the DAG, right? So every smart contract chain is represented in IOTA, and in order to represent it, we need a colored coin. So every state transition in a smart contract is basically just a transaction in IOTA. And it's beautifully simple, and it's incredibly powerful, because now we can really leverage the IOTA tangle for its security, for its immutability, and to also utilize IOTA as the interoperability layer for smart contracts. And with that, now that we have a very clear picture on what color coins on IOTA look like, we also have a much clearer picture on when and how we can bring smart contracts to the mainnet. Right now, everything is running on the Go Shimmer test network, and after Chrysalis is done, which is around March, right? We will then start working on implementing the color coin specifications, like finalize them and then implement them into the protocol, so that for the next bigger protocol upgrade, we can bring it onto the mainnet. I don't want to commit to any time frame, because I think that can only end badly for me and for others, because it's an uneducated guess at best. But other than that, we're confident that it will go onto the mainnet as soon as possible, and obviously way before our courtside happens. Another thing that's exciting is that we will definitely integrate digital assets into the Firefly wallet. So if you download the Firefly wallet, you will actually be able to create your own tokens, and you will be able to trade them with whatever friends, family, or you can just buy them directly if they're, like, for example, a non-fungible token, right? Something that has actual worth. So the Firefly wallet is going to evolve into so much more than just holding your IOTA tokens. It will be the gateway to this economy that we're creating. And I joked on the Q&A session on Wednesday that I hold nothing but IOTA tokens, but I'll definitely buy some digital assets on IOTA. And I can definitely encourage all of you who are innovators, who are builders, who are developers, to already now start thinking about this ecosystem that we are going to enable with IOTA. We are also accepting grant proposals. If you want to create an NFT marketplace, if you want to create a token foundry, if you want to create whatever with this new upgrade of color coins, just really reach out to us, and you should really start building now, because we want to launch digital assets with an ecosystem. And we have some announcements coming up of partners that are already building and tokenizing some of their assets. And I can definitely encourage all of you to also think about what you can build in this ecosystem. So that's very exciting. So make sure to watch the video, make sure to read through the specification. If you want to try it out, you can do that by following this link, because we basically have the Pollen wallet where you can already tokenize assets in our courtside test network. And here you can see what the colored token basically looks like. So it's really elegant, and because we want to make it possible for anybody to easily create tokens, I think it will be very, very powerful. And I think it's just fun to also tokenize certain assets and send them around to friends, family, or make a business out of it, right? Now, with that said, something else that's very important to mention is Curve Custody. We are really excited to partner with them. Some background for all of you. I would say, especially since 2017, the entire market has really matured so much, and you can really see this in the level of professionalism and also in the level of talent that has entered this space. So many high-ranking executives from banks, from whatever service provider, and also from big tech companies have entered this space and have built some very exciting new products. And that is exactly what we need, right? We need to mature not just the protocols, but we also need to mature the service providers, the products around it, so that the tokens, right, crypto assets, are going to be adopted. Because the last thing that you want to do as a large fund, for example, is to take a position of 10, 20 million, only to then realize that somebody stole your crypto assets, or you lost access to your keys, right? It's a powerful concept. Cryptocurrencies, you are your own bank, but it also comes with serious responsibility. And that's exactly why custody providers are so important, because many of them are regulated, right? So they have to follow very strict guidelines and also security and procedures in order to keep your crypto assets safe. Now, what's very special about Curve, and maybe let me go to their website. What's very special about Curve is that they have taken a different approach to digital asset security, and that's basically based on multi-party computation. So instead of just having a cold storage and a hot wallet, They are basically using this MPC architecture in order to keep your keys and especially your funds safe. And let me try and find the good image here. Right. And so you can think about it as a shared wallet setup, right? So you divide up the key between different parties and between different servers and all of that in order to sign the transaction afterwards. And I can definitely encourage all of you to actually download their white paper to better understand how their solution works. What's exciting about Curve and also some other wallet providers like BitGo and so on is that they're really enablers for these new decentralized applications, right? For example, DeFi, right? Decentralized finance, even though their aspirations are you hold your own keys, many of them have to hold assets where they have assets under their management, right? In order to keep them safe, they utilize custody providers. And Curve is definitely one of the enablers for DeFi as well. And it's really exciting that we are now partnering with them because thanks to Chrysalis, they were actually able to integrate IOTA into their platform. And the main reason for that is you cannot really do MPC with Winternit's one-time signatures. Now that we changed our signature scheme, they can actually integrate IOTA, and they're integrating it right now so that with the mainnet upgrade and for Chrysalis, every kind of platform that is utilizing Curve, like for example, Celsius, Stakehound, StakedUS, and Genesis are able to also offer IOTA tokens, deposits, withdrawals, or whatever use case that they are providing to their customers. And I think that's very exciting for IOTA because now we are really entering a complete new ecosystem that we haven't entered before, that we weren't able to enter before. And that's why this partnership with Curve is very exciting. And it's one of the first ones that we worked with for Chrysalis. And there's a few more that are coming now as well with the upgrade. So make sure to check out Curve. Make sure to, if you're a larger IOTA token holder or if you're a product that wants to integrate IOTA, make sure to reach out to them. They're based in New York and they've raised some serious funding. And other than that, one last point that I wanted to discuss is smart contracts. Right? I already mentioned that with digital assets, with colored coins, we're actually able to enable smart contracts on the IOTA mainnet. And we are very close to releasing an alpha version of IOTA smart contracts. And that's incredibly exciting because it really puts us into a different league where right now the use cases that you can build on IOTA are feeless micropayments and are securing data, which is very exciting for many corporates that we're working with. But we want to go beyond that, right? We need to also have these automated execution of processes in order to secure and build up this machine economy. And that's exactly why smart contracts are so exciting. And as we are getting closer to the actual release, we've just recently launched the X teams, which is basically a group of enthusiastic community developers who are now starting to investigate what we've built and are also now starting to build some applications on top of it. And with the release of smart contracts, we'll definitely start to accelerate the adoption of IOTA because there's so many exciting new use cases and they can be built on top of IOTA. And I can encourage all of you to take a look at the docs if you want. We are right now preparing the release, right? The alpha release. We need to make some videos to easily explain it to all of you. We need to have some tutorials, some example use cases in order to get started with the launch. One thing that I definitely want to do once we have IOTA smart contracts out is to host another poker tournament, this time fully running on smart contracts and fully running on IOTA. Because I think that would be really exciting because we can do a tournament. Everybody puts a few testnet tokens or a few real MIs into the pot, and then the winner can take it all. And I think with smart contracts, we can build up some really exciting new applications in our ecosystem. So I think with that said, we had some very exciting progress updates and announcements this week. We are getting very close to Chrysalis. February only has 28 days, right? So we have next week, and then we already have March, which is really nice. So with that said, I wish all of you a really exciting Sunday and Saturday. And if you want to start building, make sure to look up color coins, make sure to look up smart contracts, and make sure to apply to our ecosystem development fund. Because this year, over the next few weeks and months, we'll definitely start to issue a lot more grants to help us build out this entire ecosystem. Because we as the IOTA Foundation, we should build the protocols, we should build the building blocks, but all of you should really focus on building the products and launch new tokens and also build new startups in our ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, our job is really done if we have a flourishing ecosystem around IOTA, if we really have people who are invested into our mission and are helping to realize that mission, right? So with that said, have a good evening. And I see all of you very soon on Wednesday when we're going to do the AMA. Bye-bye.